What is up, guys? Mike Marlinsky here with the Metal Webzine. Welcome to episode 37 of All the Metal Podcast, and it's a very special episode because we are starting our next season today. It is a 20-episode season about Black Sabbath. So we're going to kick things off today, obviously talking about the debut. We're doing all 19 studio albums in order, and then to make 20, we're going to be talking about The Devil You Know by Heaven and Hell down the line. But for right now, we're going to be giving our good friend Jason Doome a call. He runs a pretty popular Facebook group out of Michigan called the Doome Church, and as far as I'm concerned, he's the biggest fucking Sabbath fan I've ever met in my life. It took me about a month or two to figure out who I wanted my main co-host to be for this series, and then after joining the Doome Church a while back and paying attention to the posts and getting to know Jason the last couple months, he just seemed like the logical choice. We do have a few other guests that we're going to be bringing on for future episodes from the Buffalo, Rochester area, though, that will be covering specific Sabbath albums that they're particularly fond of. But for right now, we're going to be sticking with Jason and talking about the self-titled Sabbath record that came out February 13th, Friday the 13th, 1970, and should be a pretty fun episode. So if you dig this one, follow us for the season. It's going to be pretty interesting, and never really done anything like this, just centered around one band, so we'll see how it goes. All right, thanks for checking it out. Let's give Jason a call.
What up, brother?
Well, hello. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Jamming a little Sabbath, believe it or not.
Really? Oh, very good, very appropriate. It's good to finally talk to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
Yeah. All right, so you ready to kick off the season?
Yeah, man.
All right,
yeah.
Sounds good. All right, so I already did kind of an intro before calling you, just talking about you and the group. But yeah, tell me about the Doome Church, and did you start the Doome Church?
Okay, well, it's kind of funny. I guess there were people that were wanting me to do a page, which I found kind of strange.
Yep.
Because it wasn't a group about a group. It was a group with some nutcase like me running it.
Right.
And
yep.
So a girl hit me up because something was going on one of the feeds, and this girl hit me up and was like, "Here you go. Here's your page. I'll just be one of your administrators." And the page was born. And within, like, the name, I had nothing to do with the name. That was Chrissy, and she created the page and was like, "Here you go." I was like, "Holy shit!" And then it just kind of took off from there. Pretty weird, pretty wild.
Yeah, you've got a decent following on there. Like you've got like a decent number of members, and like the content is really good. I was surprised.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think because that page started out with people that all knew of me or knew knew about me, so they also knew I don't put up with any bullshit. I don't put up with anybody trolling. I don't put up with politics. I don't put up with any bullshit because we're grown-ass adults and we need to act like.
That's right.
And we stopped. Originally, I stopped the membership at 666.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but then it got to the point, it's an odd page, man, because all I've had is people tell me how much they enjoy it, yet it doesn't see a whole lot of activity. It's kind of it's odd to me, but people like it. People like the content. And I think people just really like being able to come to a place and not have to worry about assholes for once.
Yep.
And that's a key part to it, because I think people will know I'll kick them the fuck out really quick.
Yep.
It's a page. It's on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. It doesn't have to be any more than that. Yeah. And we're all adults, like you said.
Absolutely. And and I'll tell you what, I had no idea. I'm sure that it started off geared more towards music, and what you see now is basically what everybody that's on that page has evolved it to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is cool. Which is really cool because I didn't know what I was doing or whatever it was that was going on. Really, I was like, oh, I guess I got a Facebook page now. And then it just shocked me. Like 2 days later, there was almost 400 people, and I'm like, holy shit. And but then through what I was posting, people would take little bits off here and there, and I love the art aspect of it. I mean, that's the art is one thing that I really appreciate about it.
Yep.
And so yeah, it's evolved into what it is, and I think it's pretty fucking cool because there's really no disrespecting people on my page. People are allowed to kind of explore their dark side.
Yeah.
Most people like us, man.
Right.
We're fucking weirdos to people because we like dark shit.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with that my whole life. Through my mom. Why do you like that dark shit? Why you're gonna kill yourself? No, quite opposite, actually.
Right. This is why I'm not gonna kill myself because of this dark shit that I'm immersing myself in.
Absolutely, and and the thing is, we got to take into account that most people aren't weirdos that like dark shit.
Right.
And because they don't, they didn't choose to listen to Iron Maiden, which back in the day I thought, fuck, these guys they got Satan's home number, man.
That's right. Oh yeah, they got his home number.
yeah. They got toll free. But music's not like that anymore. Everything that could be done has been done, in my opinion, when it comes to shock factors and and mimicry and using Satan and all that. I mean, you see on Doom Church, you see people saying hail all the time, man. Hey, that's cool. I don't, that's cool with me. And, and the Jesus knocking, that's just fucking funny. So
Sure. Oh, yeah. Right. You either have a sense of humor or you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a big part of, I went through a lot of shit after I died trying to figure out what was what. It took me quite a while until I finally said, fuck it, I'm going to be who I am, and that's a tattooed, long-haired hippie metalhead. And
right.
That's what I'm going to be.
Yeah, man. Talk about, talk about Third Coast Vinyl, because I always, give shout-outs to local record stores and things out here.
Man. Absolutely, yeah, that's my buddy's shop, Third Coast Vinyl. He opened it, I think we're going on year 4. No, I think year 5. And I said, weird, I don't own any part of his store. I just happen to be good buddies with him, and I love promoting his business, man. Because aside from him being my friend, he's got a badass metal section, you know, and I've watched it grow. I've helped him, go through certain companies like Magnetic Eye, Ripple, both of us would just go down, we'd listen to tunes. Yeah, no, should I order this? Nah. And so I just really helping him out, but he does. I mean, anybody that's visited his store has not been let down, and it's online at thirdcoastvinyl.com.
Right. Yeah, a couple people in your group talk about that store. I've met a handful of people on Facebook that talk about that store religiously, so that's really cool.
It's very cool, man. It's I'm really happy he's been able to maintain. I think he's going back to letting people in again starting Friday.
Right. That's great.
Which, when it comes down to it, yeah, we can get it on online, but it ain't the same.
No, you got to get in and browse, man.
Yeah, it's exactly, because you're going to find you can go in there with nothing in mind, walk out as with 3 or 4, so.
Right. All right, man, so Black Sabbath, the debut, was it the first Sabbath album you heard?
No, my first one that I heard was Paranoid.
Okay. And, what are your favorite tracks on the debut?
Oh, dude. It's so funny because, I've had this conversation for me could change, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
And so, if I were to say, I'd go the album I find spinning the most, and that's self-titled, because, all of the songs on it, of course, but, man, The Wizard's my jam. Mm-hmm. Followed very, very closely with Fairy Wear Boots, so,
Right.
But on self-titled, I mean, there's The Wizard. That's my go-to track. I mean, I will stand up when it comes on and crank it up another few notches because it's fucking awesome. And then, wow, man, Evil Woman is really good, and obviously NIB too. So you know, and the fact, just the history behind it and everything else, you know, with one recording in a 8-hour period.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that later because I want to have a whole conversation
we'll
about
get to
that.
it,
Right.
But I'd say The Wizard, NIB, Evil Woman. I mean, you know, so good.
Yeah, The Wizard is the fucking heaviest blues song ever written.
It's amazing, man. I mean, if those rhythms and those beats don't get inside of you, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I played for 12 years, and I was all right. You know, I could hold my own a little bit, but, you know, when I hear The Wizard, I feel stupid. I feel stupid because I don't know how he's doing it.
Right. Yeah, it's just a super exciting song. It's fucking exhilarating to listen to, man. That harmonica and the whole I just like Tony Iommi, man. Like right out the gate, he was just such an innovative and cultured player, and just incorporating a bunch of different sounds together to like really perfect what we now refer to as the riff. And the whole concept of the riff, you know, is, well, at least in modern terms, is derived from that early Iommi stuff on the early Sabbath material.
Yep, absolutely.
It's so it's like you can't like have a conversation about metal with anybody, regardless of what they're into, without somebody referencing early Sabbath and Iommi's playing. Yeah. You gotta. I mean, we just talked about the Wizard, but I mean, so that might be your answer again. But you got a favorite like top Iommi riff on the self-titled album?
Oh man, you know, because it's kind of funny about the Wizard because the main riff really is kind of coming from that, you know, the harmonica. Because all he does after that is just follow that riff from the harmonica throughout the song. So it's a great riff, you know, bam, bam. You know, but I don't know if it would be my top pick. Man, Warning's pretty good. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. The Warning's pretty good. You know, an Evil Woman you can look at, but technically it's not his riff, so...
Right, yeah, those are the covers, right?
Yeah, yep. So... Man. That's tough, man. That's tough. I know on 4, I know exactly where I'm going. You know, the rest, though, those can always be kind of up in the air because it's just riff after riff after dirty riff.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to nail it down. I know. For sure.
Yeah, it's for me. It's difficult for me to iron out certain things when it comes to music because how do you really decipher a favorite riff when it's like you're listening to the record and you're like, oh, each time when I do it, man, I'll be like, fuck, I love this riff, and then next song comes on and then you go, holy shit, man,
right.
God, is this better? And it just progresses throughout the album.
Yeah. Like I'm envious of people who, were hearing that record for the first time in 1970 and had never heard anything like it before. Because me being, I'm 36, so I had to kind of work music backwards a little bit. Like I got into the, bands that everybody else was listening to in high school, and then I kind of figured out what I wanted to listen to on my own. But it was all modern stuff in the late 90s and early 2000s and shit. So I kind of, as I got further into music, I had to just kind of work it backwards and discover shit like this later. And I already had so many other bands to compare Sabbath to, and so many other guitar players to compare Tony Iommi to. But for someone who was hearing that record for the first time in February of 1970, that had to have been a trip because there was nothing else like it. It didn't you could talk about rock and roll and blues and all this, but the way the way that album was like fused together and down-tuned and just filthy sounding, and like it was the beginning of the Doom era, and like the Devil's Interval in the beginning, and just the bell tolling and the wind and the rain. Like, it's just, man, it's like, that's what I want. Like, I'm still waiting for it. I'm waiting for an album like that to come out.
Yeah.
That would just fucking shock me and open the door to the next genre, you know?
Yeah, definitely. You know, because, see, me being 49, and I know everybody says it about their generation, but, you know, my generation, it was pretty fucking hard to beat. The thrash scene, from early 80s to about 92, man, was just what a fucking space and time musically. And so much, you know, has been done in my eyes, and what's out today, I just can't, it makes no sense to me. So, but Sabbath, man, is just, it's hard to deny, and let's all be honest, man, none of us were in freaking high school, you know, unless you're a guitar player going, it's all about the riff, man, it's all about the riff. We liked fucking metal back then, you know, we weren't like, it's all about the riff.
Oh, sure, like in high school, like in junior high and high school, like I was just trying to headbang, you know, and I was just looking for that sound, like whatever sound was going to hook me into it and, like, you know, get me more into metal, you know, because I had my favorites, but, like, you know, I could already see the trends, and, like, I didn't want to, like, follow bands just because everybody else was listening to them, you know, I wanted to go out and find shit on my own.
Right, yeah, you know, and so it's weird because, you know, the music that I picked up, you know, was, you know, Sabbath, you know, when I was born was still a band. Yep. You know, Zeppelin, you know, they were still a band for a while. And these were bands that just blew the fucking doors off of everything that we knew about. And so it wasn't that, I'm not that far removed from those bands. And the kids today, you know, are ever going to really get that unless they do discover the side of music that we like, which our music you got to search out, period. You know, if you ever want anything, you want to expand your horizons in music, you've got to do it on your own and search for it. And there's not a lot of those type of people out there, you know?
Yep, right. That's right. So you wanted to talk about how Bill Ward was done dirty.
Ugh.
So I'd love to give you the floor on that one for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to it, but just to give you an idea of just how shady fucking what Sharon is,
yeah.
On Bark at the Moon and Blizzard of Oz, when they reissued and repressed those, she hired 2 hired guns, guitarists, to record the guitar parts on those 2 Ozzy albums so she didn't have to pay them any royalties.
Right.
What the fuck? Really?
Right.
Wow. So that's, you know, she goes pretty deep when it comes to being shady, man.
Sure.
And, you know, and if Bill said he was ready to play, I believe Bill, and they gave him the shaft, plain and simple. I mean, Sharon had Ozzy go to court, and the reason that him and Naomi are the main earners for the band, because they argued that Ozzy's voice was what made Black Sabbath, and the judge awarded them victory on that. So, you know, Bill, who was one of the most Bill and I can't believe I'm going to sit here and forget, man, Geezer. Those 2, they were a huge, massive part of Black Sabbath. Huge. I mean, that drumming that Bill does, forget about it.
Sure.
He's incredible,
dude,
man.
Right out the gate, right in that opening track, how he's kind of like, he's playing to the vocals on the toms during that opening riff, the Devil's Interval. Like, he's playing to the vocals, he's playing to Ozzy more than he's locking in with Geezer and Tony, so it's just very, like, it's very ominous and just, it's just foreboding. It's just super dark and almost off tempo, like it's a tangent, but it's just this, it's like, It's almost like the rain sample that is in the beginning of the song. It's almost like a continuation of that sample, like the way Bill's playing the drums when the vocals come in.
Yeah, it's his drumming. I mean, you really do. Like, he's got two of the greats, which is Bonham and Bill. And the more I continue to listen to Sabbath, I find myself really just focusing in on the drums and trying to listen to what he's doing, because his offbeats and it's just nuts. I don't know how he does it, man. I cannot dissect his playing and play it.
Well, I know Tony, after his work accident, he started down-tuning his guitar out of necessity, because it was just, just decrease the tension. But I mean, that turned into, C-sharp standard or whatever it's in. Like, that turned into a whole movement in itself in metal. And, it's just interesting to be and like with the guitars needing to be down-tuned like that, well, that kind of changed up the bass style as well. Everything kind of had to play into that down-tuning, because, instead of Geezer going off on his own, what Geezer ended up doing was just backing him up and just thickening the riffs and making it sound even dirtier. So what Bill had to do naturally was, if there was to be a solid riff being played, a solid vocal melody, or maybe a call and answer type thing, like, Bill would kind of have to lock into that and match that. But there were also a lot of stop gaps in those songs. So Bill would go off and do, like, the jazzy fills, or like something bluesy, just to complement Tony's influences wherever there would be a drum break in the songs. So, like, he was still allowed to have his own personality in those gaps, even though everybody kind of catered to what Tony was doing. And even with the drop tuning, like, well, you're not going to do a jazzy bass line because this is so thick and nasty sounding, and this is something totally new. So, like, you almost have to back me up so we can fill out this sound and see how far we can take it,
Right. Very well said.
Crazy. So yeah, like, Bill Ward shafted even on, like, even on posters. Even in album art, he's just a ghost.
When I posted that, and then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, even on posters, man, show some fucking respect, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, what they're doing, I mean, am I going to stop listening to Sabbath? Absolutely not. Bill's rich. He's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But they dicked him, and I guess that's a business that I'll never know. Look at what they did to Lombardo and Slayer, man.
Same thing. You're right, same thing.
Almost to a worser extent, because even the fucking, like, pop toys and all that, they don't make them a Lombardo.
Right.
And that's hugely disrespectful, man. And I mean, it's like, you guys are that desperate for some extra coin? Fucking drummers get the shaft all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you get a chance to check out the original versions of Evil Woman and Warning?
I did, man. I did. And it's the Evil Woman's hard, man, because it's pretty groovy.
Yep.
I mean, does it get me going as wound up as the Wizard? The original? No, not really. But it's got such a blues tinge to it, and it's really cool. It's really cool. I think it's a great cover. And then when you go to the Sabbath, I mean, Sabbath just, with their influence they put on it, it's a totally different song, and it fits them. It fits them as a band. It fits what they were doing, and they did it really well. If I was going to go to pick it, and I had to pick between those two, I'd pick Sabbath's version.
Same thing with Warning?
With Evil Woman.
No, same thing with Warning, though?
Oh, yeah, Warning I wasn't as impressed with. I think Sabbath did a much better job with it.
Yeah. They made it their own. They made it their own, especially with Ozzy's vocals and Tony's shredding at the end. Like, just a lot of the improv, or not improv, I guess improv, a lot of the liberties that were taken,
Right.
to kind of mold that song into the Black Sabbath sound and kind of, have that gel with the original tracks that are on that album, because those two covers were part of the Black Sabbath live set at the time. So when they recorded the debut, that was pretty much what they did. They went in and they recorded their live set, all of them in the same room, for an 8-hour block, maybe, the first day, and then the next day was mixing, editing.
Which is amazing within itself.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, guys, seriously, 8 hours, and then, some tweaking and stuff. It's amazing. And if you're I know it's a little bit for some people, but, it's going to be an all-time great album forever.
Yep.
It's not going anywhere.
Exactly, dude. Yes.
Yeah. And people don't
that shit is forever.
Yeah, forever.
That's the greatest thing about putting music out, man.
Yeah.
Even if 5 people hear it, once it's out there, it's out there.
Exactly, man. People ask me this question all the time about, if you could go back, what would you change? I probably would have really, really honestly put forth trying to do some music with some people, because there's nothing like it, man. I got to write 12 songs with the one band I was in, and it was awesome. We played parties, but the feeling, people think, writing the songs all willy fucking nilly, man. No, it's not.
Right.
It's difficult.
Yeah, you're right, man. All right, so we got the covers out of the way. So we wanted to bring this up. We talked about this the other day. Clearing up the misconception about the title Nib.
Ah, yes. Yep. The Nativity in Black. It's got to be Nativity in Black. What are the chances, though, if you think about it, right?
Yep.
You do it, and then it's totally not what it is, but it takes on a life of its own just because of the name.
Sure.
That's in Nativity in Black. Why wouldn't you assume that on this album of darkness?
Right. Right. So tell us what it really means.
It's if I'm correct, was after Bill's beard, wasn't it?
It is. Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne said that his beard looked like a pen nib. So that's where it comes from. As far as to the best of my knowledge, that's where the title comes from. That was the true meaning in the beginning. Yep. And then you're right, Nativity in Black, it just kind of took on a life of its own from there.
It did. It really did. Because, any kid that was, young and, picking up Sabbath, that's, first thing I would probably guess, and probably did guess.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a beard, man. It's a little tiny, whatchamacallit, that he could twist.
So that's another thing. If you think about it, that's another thing that Bill didn't get credit for.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this question, this is like beating a dead horse, but I have to ask it. So did Sabbath invent heavy metal, or was it Blue Cheer or Judas Priest?
Well, as we all know, that's incredibly subjective.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
People can go in what I've figured, and I've had this discussion with a couple of my buddies. I don't fucking care. It started it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually a great way to put it, man. It started it for me.
Yeah. It's, I think, there's something about metal and, dark metal or metal that, for me, it's a calming tool. And for those that, don't like it, they just don't understand it, and that's cool, whatever. But when it comes to who started it, it's kind of hard to go against pretty much every band that's come after that credit Black Sabbath for their sound.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's hard to beat, because let's face it, dude, if it was Blue Cheer or, whoever else, they would be in the mix a hell of a lot more than they are.
Sure.
Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with Black Sabbath, in terms of what they were innovating, it's very it depends on what you're talking about. Like, if you're talking about the overall genre of metal, like the sound, I mean, sure, you could debate that. You could debate that for a long time. You know, with people who were listening to those records when they were fresh in that era and so forth. But if you're talking about riffs, and that is the big thing with Black Sabbath, and the big thing with Tony Iommi is how his riffs shaped the next 51 years.
Yeah.
And I really have to give Sabbath all the credit for that, because they didn't just... My next question was going to be about doom metal, and like, they didn't just start metal, or, you know, whatever you want to consider metal. Like, there was a formula there, like a drumming, bass guitar playing, and guitar riff writing formula that did not exist prior to this album.
Bingo. And
it just turned into cookie cutter band after cookie cutter band, and then this subgenre, that subgenre. And how many subgenres of metal are there now? It's fucking insane. Jesus. I mean, that's like, you know, I could fill an oversized blackboard with this complicated mathematical equation talking about it. But it's and I love the elitism behind it too. You know, people love being as precise as possible when categorizing bands, and that's cool. But I mean, I just like to listen to shit, honestly. I don't really nitpick the subgenres as much as I used to. But
well, yeah, no, and I'm the same way, man. You know, it's just, we're at an age now. I'm definitely at an age now, and you know, when talking to my buddy, and you know, there was albums he, you know, it's like, man, I think I'm gonna get these, man, because, you know, and as we get older, man, you know, you're either gonna listen to Kenny G, or are you gonna keep on banging your head to some good metal, man? You know, I mean, it's funny too with Black Sabbath. I mean, these dudes didn't even really consider or know what this influence was. You know, that because they considered themselves hard rock.
Sure.
You know. And now all of us credit them with everything in metal, which that's
exactly. They had nothing else to reference at that time, but now all of a sudden they're a metal band, and that says a lot too.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's you know, and to me, and the older I get, and the more I spend Sabbath, the more I fucking love them even more, man. They're my favorite group in this entire planet. Period.
Totally. And like, honestly, I don't think I can even say that, man, but it was just you know, it came time for me to really pick a band to just dissect. And it's like, Black Sabbath's the perfect band, because they've, you know, it went from 1970 to 2013, and it is responsible for so much, and there have been so many different styles, and, you know, I think in the end, how many singers were there? 7 total?
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
You know, and it's like, and you know, you like, we'll get to that stuff later in the season, but I mean, like, just going between vocalists, like, that, you know, the vibes were so different, but each of those different eras of Sabbath were responsible for their own innovations, you know, that people worship to this day. It's just fucking huge. So why not do 20 episodes about Black Sabbath, honestly, when you can? So you had asked me, based on your own experience, and like, I'll admit something big here, that I've never seen. I never got to see Black Sabbath live. But,
that happens, man.
But you asked this question, so you can tell your story.
Absolutely.
Is it acceptable to cry at a Black Sabbath show? And you said yes, and you said you have, and you said that was in 1999, so talk about that.
Yeah, I'd actually just got married, had a kid, and it was at Ozfest. And it was 99, maybe 2000, or maybe 98. Whenever Ozfest that was, when Sabbath got back together. Which I, you know, was not going to miss, so we had to drive across the state, and, you know, I was pretty tired. we get through the day. At one point, I felt we were in the amphitheater, had great seats. We were like 13 rows back, and at one point, I actually fell asleep when Slayer was on. I feel horrible about it, but
well, to be fair, I've fallen asleep during Slayer myself, so
it was. I was exhausted, so I just had a kid, but I was there for Sabbath, and my wife at the time came with, obviously, and we're sitting there, and man, before they even hit the stage, I was tearing up just because I never personally thought I would get to see Black Sabbath. And of course, my wife, I don't think she had ever seen me cry. And so I'm standing there. I mean, I wasn't ugly crying, but man, I had some tears rolling down the cheeks, man, because it's fucking Black Sabbath. I got to see them, man. And, it's, and I'm glad I did. Unfortunately, that's the only time that I was able to get to and go to see him, but it was definitely worth it. And I've had this conversation with my best buddy in high school, and he was the same way. He's like, oh, I totally teared up, man, because it's Black Sabbath, man. It's like, I don't know if, the same thing's going to happen with them with, say, like, Post Malone in his fucking 70s or some shit, and,
sure.
And my daughter likes him and cries. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I hope not.
I don't either. And that's the thing. It's like bands like Black Sabbath, man. I mean, that period is over, man. And that's kind of really sad. But, I guess these new acts sell out arenas. I guess they have to. It's just crazy to me. But I don't see any of the music today as being like Zeppelin or Sabbath or Hendrix that really were the innovators of new stuff that nobody's been doing. So, in a way, I kind of feel bad for kids like that, And maybe not, though, man. Maybe like fucking Dope Throne, from Electric Wizard is like a kid's favorite album, down the road. So, you never know.
Right. Yeah, you never know what's going to resonate with who. That's, it's all subjective, and that's the beauty of it.
Yes, yeah.
So, we touched on this a little bit already, but, I mean, there's a deeper motivation to this question. Like, so the debut album was recorded live with everyone performing at once, and the tracking was done in a single day. Now, do you... I don't know how deeply you look into like a lot of your favorite records, but do you prefer albums that are recorded this way or tracked individually? Like, is there a difference you can feel in how music is recorded, or is that all hindsight bias because you're going to say you like it live because you found out later that it was recorded live,
Right. No, that's a good question. I mean, and let's face it again, as being a younger Sabbath fan, I'm pretty sure I didn't know the history of this album when it was made, and so when I hear it, though, man, there's a reason, and I'm gonna say the word, but I hate this word, and I'm not using it. I'll use the word natural, but they like to use organic, and I hate that term. So, because every person putting out a new album says it's so fucking organic,
right?
So. The skill, it's just something that gets done all, because they call it lightning in a bottle, obviously. I mean, an 8-hour period, this is, for the record that it is, you look at any band nowadays that doesn't do their own, I mean, they were in the studios for months sometimes. Months! And that's crazy to me. So, I would have to, if I wish I knew off the top of my head some other records that have been, produced like this, it's kind of hard. And plus, like nowadays with newer producers, I definitely look, because Terry Date keeps popping up. I mean, I don't think he'll ever do anything that's remotely doomy or sludgy, but he's a favorite producer, and you look at his list, it's knocked out of the park. So production does have a whole lot to do with it. I can't really think of anything really bad about, the Self-Titled, man. Because, hey, balls out. They did it in a day, and it sounds incredible.
Right.
So, I don't know, man. I mean, if playing together, I would think personally that you get a better vibe because you're able to look and play off of what your bandmates are doing.
Right.
So I think it can kind of be a win-win situation. You know what I mean?
Right on. I was just looking up a couple records that I thought had been recorded live, but I guess I was wrong about that. But no, it's pretty special, and it's pretty it's pretty impressive considering that you wouldn't think that if you didn't know it. Like someone, I can just imagine, like, someone just hearing the Black Sabbath debut recently, like, might not pick up on that at all. No, it's just really, that's just really cool, like, information to find out one day.
No, totally, man. It's, and I still find out stuff that I don't know, Mm-hmm. I've just gotten to a point, man, I love music. I have my whole life. I don't know more than anybody. I don't know less than anybody, but I know what I enjoy, and that's obviously, a lot of what I do listen to is probably directly correlated with Sabbath, so it's win-win for all of us.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure I can credit, like, a lot of my favorite bands to, at least, maybe not because of Sabbath, but having been influenced by Sabbath in some way, like through 6 Degrees or somebody even, if it's a stretch. So yeah, on associating Sabbath with Satan, especially in the beginning, like, that was something that Tony Iommi brought up in a lot of interviews subsequently, because, over the band's career, like, there were a lot of shifts, like, and he didn't want, like... There were just a lot of misconceptions about how the band was 100% about Satan, and even I remember even when Tony Martin came to the band, it was an immediate misconception that Tony Martin had. So the lyrics of Headless Cross were pretty dark and pretty very Satan oriented. But then obviously Tyr is Nordic themed because the band had to correct him. So like what were how did you first perceive the band? Like, is that how you, like, did you perceive, because a lot of people, especially, like, older people back in the 70s, like, just immediately associate, or, like, categorize them as a satanic band. So, like, what was your first, like, perception of Sabbath, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Mine was just that it was, unlike anything I'd heard, and it was dark. I didn't associate them, I don't think, once with the devil. If I was doing that, I'd look at Iron Maiden, because I was coming up when Number of the Beast came out, and back then, back then as a kid, man, that was scary shit, man.
Sure.
Slayer when he got older, I don't want to run into those fucking guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there was a danger to it. But I never looked at Seth because they never gave me a reason to think that they were satanic. I'm like, why would I think that? These dudes are wearing crosses right side up, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's and especially Tony Iommi too. Like that's it's an iconic look now. Like you just associate him with the cross with the cross around his neck, right?
His I think it was Ozzy's dad actually had a bunch, 4 crosses made for all the members in Sabbath.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's cool, man. So Black Sabbath got away from their blues influence, more or less, after the debut. So, like, that was such a huge... But the blues influence was a huge part of, like, the debut album's, like, innovative sound and, uniqueness. So, like, I don't know, I guess, how do you feel about the way, like, Sabbath's songwriting formula, like, progressed after the debut? Like, were you glad to see certain elements go away, or did you want them to retain it, or...
it's kind of like, ATW, all them witches when they kicked out, or they didn't kick out, but their keyboardist quit, and then they decided they didn't want one. But, holy shit, I don't know where that came from. But But listening to all these records, man. It's great record after great record after great record. I love the self-titled, and I love the jazzy breakdowns, and I think it's still there throughout the albums. They're just not as poignant, I guess.
Sure.
But geared a little bit more towards just heavy rock. But each album, Christ, look at Masters of Brutality, though. You know what I mean? You can go right to that and go, well, holy shit, what's this?
Right. Oh yeah, and with the there was one more thing I was going to bring up with the whole Satan thing, because the name came from that Mario Bava movie.
Right. Yep.
And so that was for its day, like, that was a scary movie. And like, I've never actually watched it. I mean, it was on at a buddy's house the other day. Actually, that was actually my first time catching a glimpse of it. And I kind of laughed at it a little. I thought it was a little cheesy, but like, back then, like, that was a dark, scary movie.
Absolutely.
With a lot of, undertones about the devil. So like that was another thing I got to remember that the band was immediately associated with was that film that was fresh in a lot of people's minds.
Yep. And as well as I do, I mean, Jesus, we saw it with the PMRC, so I can only imagine what it was like back in 1970. I mean, like you were talking earlier about what it was like for the people that got to see Sabbath in 70 or 71 for the first time. Had to be like just wow, you know what I mean? It had to just be such an experience, which I wish I could have experienced. I mean, I did my own way, but for back then when this came out, man, and stoned teenager putting on their headphones and listening to this, man, how could that not be life changing?
Sure. Yep. All right, so. That was all I had on my end, actually. I was gonna have you back. I got a buddy coming on to do the Paranoid episode, unless you wanted to three-way that. But I was gonna have you come back for Master of Reality. If you'd be down to do that, and like I already announced you before I called you, like I'm making you the main co-host for the season, so like you'll be doing most of them as long as you're available. Like, I want you here doing these, as we go along.
Dude, absolutely, man, absolutely, dude. Because like I said, I build shit up in my head so freaking bad, and it's like I'm sitting here and it's like I start dreading doing shit.
Oh, like, yeah, dude.
I agree to do something, and then my anxiety takes over, and then I dread it, and then when I do it, I can't shut my fucking mouth anyway, so...
That's amazing, because that's exactly what I was looking for, man. A huge Sabbath fan who can't shut his mouth. That's exactly what I need, man. No, that's great, and I do the same thing, I get a little bit of anxiety, before doing these episodes, and I didn't even want to do a podcast, and then I just started doing it, and it gets addicting, man, especially with the pandemic. Like, we all need something to do, and we all need to stay connected,
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
So, do you have anything else you wanted to add about the debut before we close out?
Let's see, man. Do I have? Oh, I'll take that back on the upside. When you open the cover, if you got a gatefold, on the inside is an upside down cross. So I'm kind of eating my words.
Well, yeah, but the members are wearing them right side up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I actually I'm gonna have to. I'm not at my place right now, but like, I have that vinyl. Like, I'm gonna have to go check that out. Because I don't remember that being in there. I'm sure it's in there, but it makes perfect sense. But I guess I need to fucking pay more attention to that too.
Yeah. Cool, man.
All right, so this was cool. I'm gonna make a quick video for this using that backdrop I shot you, and then I'm gonna drop this into the Doome Church, my friend.
Absolutely, dude. Fucking right on, brother.
Yeah, and even if you're not on board for an episode, I was just gonna start dropping these links in the Doome Church as I go, if that's cool.
No, dude, absolutely, man. Yeah.
All right.
That fucking page
get everybody following along, and we'll get some more opinions and shit.
Absolutely.
All right, this was fun, man. Thanks a lot for
Cool.
joining me, and we'll talk soon, man.
All right, brother. Later.
All right, later.